Let them come.
Hey everyone, this is Arnold Bliss 98, and here we have Cheetor from Transformers Rise of the Beasts. He's my second Maximal from the movie, and like Primal, he has a much simpler build compared to the other vehicle bots in this movie, and he's definitely on the smaller side, coming up just short of 400 parts. And as with my other builds, they're free PDF instructions on Rebrickable. There's a link in the description and the pinned comment below. It would be really cool to see someone make him in the classic Beast Wars colors, like the yellow, gold, and blue. And let's start off with him in his beast mode. He is a big cat, like a giant version of those things you see at the pet store. And spinning him around, I used a lot of medium nougat for the animal shell parts, just like the color I used with Wheeljack and Nightbird. And there's also some lighter and darker grays for the more robot mechanical bits. And this is easily the weaker of the two modes, especially looking at the front. These front two limbs should be a lot closer and more like slender-like. And he looks a bit too bulky from like the side profile, especially like the top. If you took away his tail, he kind of looks like a different animal, like a bear. One feature missing from this mode is his spots. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that with Lego, but you can always try it with a Sharpie yourself. And getting a close-up, I really like how this head turned out. It's very simple but effective with the green eyes, the nose. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any whiskers, but it's all good. And I like the shaping of the nice rounded ears. And coming onto the back here, I try to make it look like he has some fur detailing by changing up this cheese slopes on the top. And you can see all these limbs are obviously robot limbs, and each limb does have some small claws. I guess the only oddity here is that the robot fingers and the front claws are made out of the same part, so he kind of looks like he has 6 claws. And then of course he has a nice simple cat tail, and I like how the angle of these legs turned out. He's very articulate because he's a very agile animal. The head is on a single ball joint here, and there's also a secondary joint with a pivot. And of course you can open his mouth and close it, and you can also rotate his ears for some different expressions. And he has the upper shoulder joint here. You can kind of bend the lower joints, and of course some pivot at the front foot. And then for the back feet, of course you got some hip movement here and some smaller joints, and then some pivot here. And of course the tail is on a set of ball joints. And you can get him to sit down like this, like he's taking a rest. If you spread out his limbs, he looks more dynamic, like he's ready to pounce. And if you're curious about his underside, it's pretty clean. You wouldn't see much robot parts here. And for a size comparison, here he is with Ravage and a minifigure, and Ravage is my original cat transformer. Here he is next to Studio Series Bumblebee and Char's Zagok. And here he is next to his Studio Series toy, which is a lot more proportionate in this mode. My Lego version looks a little more cartoonish here. And for my builds, here is next to Optimus Prime, and his fellow Maximal Optimus Primal. And finally, here he is with Mirage. And of course, you can recreate the scene when they first meet. And now for the transformation. It's really simple, and it's mostly based off of his Studio Series toy. First what I do is take the ears and kind of squeeze them together. And then take the arms here and rotate them down like that. And like that. And next what you're going to do is fold out this section here and just rotate it all up until it fits into the gap right here. And same for this side. Fold this detail up as far as it can go, and then you can rotate him at the elbow, and at this joint here you want to rotate it again, and then rotate the hand here, and then fold down the fingers here. And this part's interesting because the middle claw here is just going to fold back, so you got the two like Wolverine claws there. And same for this side. Fold up, fold this down, straighten at the elbow, and then just fold the claws down. And next you want to straighten up the legs at the hip here, and fold this section down, rotate this 180, like that, and then you can fold up the knee pads, and then fold the lower section of the leg, and then fold down the front foot, and fold back the claws. And you can stand him up, and if you haven't straightened out the tail, do so already. And then take these two sections and shift them out like midway here. And then take the head and fold it back for now. And come to the chest here, raise this section ever so slightly, and bring it up. These parts are probably the most fragile part of the build, like that. And then coming into the back here, where the head is located, you just want to, on this extra joint here, fold this out for clearance. And this should allow you to bring up the head, as well as these two side panels, and set both of these into place. And finally, let's tidy up the back, set this hinge back into place, take the head, fold it as far up as possible, and then close the mouth and put it all in here. And this area here should rotate this around and rotate this around. They should come together here, and just kind of squeeze these panels where the jaw is, and these two panels are just going to fold up. And like the Studio Series toy, you just want to take the tail, and then this will kind of become the spine. Actually, you want to bring all this down here and complete the curvature. And here is Cheetor in his robot mode. And spinning around, this is the better of the two modes, but big shame we didn't get to see more of this mode in the movie. And I based him off of the YOLO Park model kit heavily. And taking a closer look at him, his head's very simple. It's just built around a Travis brick. And I like the shaping for the chest with those two angles, as well as some of the details for the abs. His arms are very simple and very spindly. I like how I got the two claws in that go over his fists. And I like the shaping of the shoulders using this arch piece to kind of finish out that curve. Legs are very simple. They're basically a chain of the smaller ball joints to account for how they collapse in the cat mode. And his back is very clean. I like how I used the tail to represent his spine detail. And I like how this area kind of adds a little bulk to his body. And as you would expect, he's very articulate. The head here is just a simple rotation here. And you kind of look up and down because of the extra joint here. And of course the shoulder pads can kind of move out of the way, but their main rotation's on the small ball joint here. And there's also a double bend at the elbow for the transformation, and a rotation up here. And of course the fists are on a smaller ball joint, so you can definitely get some good poses and fingers. And his hip is a bit limited due to how the tail is made, but he does have a little bit of ab crunch, more for the transformation. And of course normal hips, and he can kick pretty far, as well as bend at the knees. And I guess also for transformation you can use this, and of course ankle pivot, as well as front foot tilt. And he can pull off the superhero landing very well. And he holds up well despite being made of the smaller ball joints. And his only weapon here is his big spear. This was really fun to design, and it's very simple, featuring a lot of blue highlights. And you can clip it to any point here on his hand, but it can rest in the middle easily, like that. You could also break it in half like the Studio Series toy, but I don't think he did that in the movie. Expected, he's very fun to pose with this big spear. For a size comparison, here he is with a minifigure and Ravage. Cheetor gains a lot of height in this mode, of course. Here he is with Studio Series Bumblebee and the high-grade Zagok. And here he is next to his Studio Series toy. And for my builds, here he is with Mirage and Optimus Prime, who is slightly taller. I'm not sure if this is accurate to the movie. And that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed Cheetor here, my second Maximal. And he was very fun to design and make, and he's also very nice to pose around, especially with this big spear. And like Primal, his focus is mostly on the robot mode, though the cat mode isn't too bad. It just looks a little bit chubby from certain angles. And as always, there are free PDF instructions on Rebrickable if you want to build this guy yourself. I would highly recommend it because he's really fun and not as complex as some of the Autobots or the Terracons. So it's a good starter build, I would say. For my next video, I'll be continuing with the Maximals and charging in with Rhinox. I'll see you guys then.